morning to you, Fireplace. Coming to you again for another snow day fireside chat. 2 Sundays in a row we've gotten snowed out with these weekend snowstorms. This Sunday we were originally planning on celebrating the 10-year anniversary of Fireplace Church. It would be this Sunday 10 years ago in 2016 that we launched Fireplace Church. What we're going to do is we're going to postpone the celebration till next Sunday when we can be in person. So we don't have to virtually celebrate. We can celebrate in person, eating real cupcakes, celebrating 10 years of God's faithfulness to Fireplace Church and our community. So look forward to seeing you there next Sunday. You know, winter has been historically viewed as a season of rest. Whether it's the crop fields resting between harvest and planting season, whether it's the dormancy of trees or various other activities that you can't do in the winter. But however, in our day and age, we've come up with ways to avoid rest, right? We've, you know, whether it's the modern conveniences of the light bulb or indoor heating or you know, transportation, we've learned how to get our way around rest. I was listening to a guy who's a spiritual formation teacher talk about probably the number one threat to Christians and their spiritual formation is this: exhaustion. Today I want to talk to you about rest. You know, the need for rest is not a new development. In fact, it's not even a new command. Way back in Exodus 20, God commanded his people, remember the Sabbath day, keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, and on the 7th day is a Sabbath to the Lord, and you shall not work. So the human need for rest and the command to rest is nothing new. However, I will submit to you that there's never been a time like today where we need to exercise the spiritual discipline of rest. You know, the light bulb changed everything. You know, there was certain natural boundaries of day and night where once it got dark, you had to go to bed, you had to rest. But now with the light bulb, you can go 24/7 with light on. You can stay awake, you can entertain yourself, you can work, you can do all these things. And God gave us this provision called rest. You know, practicing the discipline of rest, it really is an act of trust. It is a statement in God and confidence in God that He is in control, that He is our supplier, that He is our provision for us, our loved ones, and the work that God has given us to do. You know, God didn't create us to be machines. He created us to be sons and daughters. He created us to be His children. And in Psalms 46:10, God gives us this command, to be still and know that I am God. You know, to be still acknowledges that God is in control of the world. God is in control of the kingdom. The world and the movement of the kingdom doesn't rest on my shoulders. It rests on the shoulders of God. You know, to be still and acknowledge that He is God is this idea of resting and set aside and acknowledging who He is. And rest is not an absence of work, but it is the presence of trust. When we choose to rest, we are making the radical decision and declaration that God is our provider and not us. Mark chapter 4 records a really interesting story of Jesus as He was weary after His work, taking some rest. In fact, it happens on a boat. Mark chapter 4 verse 35 says that, on that day, when evening had come, they said to Him, let's go across to the other side. Leaving the crowd, they took Him with them in the boat, just as He was, and other boats were with Him. With a great windstorm arose, and the waves were breaking against the boat, so that the boat was already filling. But He was in the stern, asleep on a cushion. They woke Him, and they said to Him, Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing." As he awoke, he rebuked the wind and said to the sea, "Peace, be still." And the wind ceased, and there was great calm. And he said to them, "Why are you so afraid? Have you still no faith?" And they were filled with great fear and said to one another, "Who then is this, that even the winds and the seas obey him?" Tired from all his endeavors, Jesus goes to sleep. He's getting rest. And this heavy storm hits, and it is scary enough that it's scaring professional fishermen, but Jesus is still resting. He's still asleep. And his friends, filled with fear, frightened, they come in and they question Jesus' motives and says, "Do you not even care that we're about to die?" Well, what they don't understand is Jesus' sleep was a sign of his trust that his Father's got everything under control. He has absolute supreme confidence, and Jesus understands that God has power over everything, including the wind and the waves. Jesus' words to the wind and to the waves that day, "Peace, be still," I submit to you, are also his words to his disciples both then and now. Peace, be still. Understanding that God has the power to save us helps us replace our fear with trust and confidence, allowing us to rest peacefully. In sports, if we don't rest, if we don't recuperate, if we don't get some time to rebuild our bodies, we'll burn out, we'll become injured. The same is true in our spirituality. See, our growth happens in the place of rest. The same with weightlifting. When you go to the gym and you lift weights, that's not where the growth happens. That's the stimulation for the growth, but the growth happens that night when you sleep. Matthew 11, verse 28 through 30, we see this ultimate invitation to the tired worker. He says, "Come to me, all who labor and who are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you. Learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." Now notice in that passage, Jesus doesn't give them a new set of rules. What he offers to them is himself. Jesus offers himself to them, and he invites them to take his yoke upon them. A yoke is a tool of work. If you're not familiar with a yoke, it's a metal beam or a wood beam with two loops in it that two oxen would pair up in, and they would pull together. And the reason why this tool of work that Jesus is saying take upon you, but yet at the same time promises that it's easy and light, it's because he is the one pulling all the heavy weight in this yoked relationship that we have with him. In this snow season, as you are likely snowed in, you might not be able to go to work this week or tomorrow. You might not be able to go to school. All the kids say praise the Lord. In this time, I want to challenge you. Here's your assignment I'm going to give you. Rest. This week, I want you to find 30 minutes to do absolutely nothing but be in God's presence. 30 minutes with no phone, no worship music, not even your prayer list. 30 minutes just to sit in his presence, to be with him, to rest. If your mind starts to race towards a to-do list, gently pull back with the words of Psalm 62, verse 1. "For God alone my soul waits in silence. From him comes my salvation." I challenge you in this season of rest, winter, this snow day weekend, find some time, get alone, and wait. Be still and know that he is God. Take his yoke upon you. Receive his rest. God bless you. Enjoy the rest of your snow day.